This is part 2 of a marriage that God ordains. I'm doing a series, so this is part 2. The first one we were talking about the kings from David's, Saul's, David's, and the Samuels, and this one we're going to be talking about the Vashtis and the Esthers. What to expect in a marriage, like how to wait for your Esther, like how to identify if this is your Esther, how to identify if this is the one that God has chosen for you as a man. So the first one we were talking to the ladies, so now this one we're going to be talking to the men. I'm going to be speaking about the men. Trust me, these are all powerful messages. You do not want to miss any of these messages. If you are wanting to get married, if you are in a process of getting married, if you are feeling like this is the direction that you wanted to go to, God is saying this is what I have for you. This message, it has literally been in my heart for such a long time, and God has finally said release this. So let's go. So we're gonna start with Esther. We're gonna start with the kings, like what to expect when choosing a king. Okay, so this is what the Lord says in regards to the men. So this video is not going to be as lengthy as the first one. This one is going to be just a continuation, and we're going to be speaking to the men right here. So let's go. So we're going to read in chapter 1. We're going to be reading and what God has for the men when picking a wife, choosing a wife. So it says in Esther chapter 1, it says, for a full 180 days, he displayed a vast wealth of his kingdom and the splendor and glory of his majesty. When these days were over, the king gave a banquet lasting 7 days in the enclosed garden of the king's palace for all the people, from the least to the greatest, who were in the citadel of Susa. The garden had hangings of white and blue linen fastened with cords of white linen and purple material to silver rings on marble pillars. And there were couches of gold and silver on a mosaic pavement of porphyry, marble, and mother of pearl and other costly stones. Wine was served. For everybody who was coming in, hello, God bless you. Please keep your comments, respectful if you can. Also, if you could just be respectful, not only towards me, but also towards the ministry, also towards the other people who are watching. So may God bless you, love you. May God touch your hearts as you are hearing this, okay? So once again, if you were coming in now, this is message for the men, how to choose a wife, all right? So it says, wine was served in goblets of gold, each one different from the other, and the royal wine was abundant, in keeping with the king's liberality. Forgive me for not saying it right. So, by the king's command, each guest was allowed to drink with no restrictions, for the king instructed all the wine stewards to serve each man what he wished. Queen Vashti, this was the current queen, also gave a banquet for the women in the royal palace of King Xerxes. On the 7th day, when the King Xerxes was on high spirits, this boy was tipsy from the wine, he commanded the 7 eunuchs who served him, and he told them to bring before him Queen Vashti, wearing her royal crown, in order to display her beauty to the people and nobles, for she was lovely to look at. She was lovely to look at. But when the attendants delivered the king's command, Queen Vashti refused to come. And then the king became furious and burned with anger. Since it was customary for the king to consult experts in matters of law and justice, he spoke with the wise men who understood the times and were closest to the king. So he spoke to Karshena, Shethar, Abnatha, Tarshish, Medes, Marcina, and Mumekan, the 7 nobles of Persia and Media who had special access to the king and were highest in the kingdom. According to the law, what must be done to Queen Vashti? He was asking. He asked, she has not obeyed the command of King Xerxes that the eunuchs have taken to her. Then Mumekin replied in the presence of the king and the nobles, Queen Vashti has done wrong, not only against the king, but also against the nobles and the people of all the provinces of King Xerxes. For the queen's conduct will become known to all the women, and so they will despise their husbands. Look at their effect, the ripple effect that it has from this queen. There is a ripple effect. Her life carries weight. Even if she's disobedient, her life carries weight. People are looking at the queen. How she responds, how she acts, how she treats her husband, how she treats the kingdom, how she treats his command. He said the queen's conduct will become known to all the women, and so they will despise their husbands, and says, King Xerxes commanded Queen Vashti to be brought before him, but she would not come. This very day, the Persian and the Median women of the nobility who have heard about the queen's conduct will respond to all the king's nobles in the same way. There will be no end of disrespect and discord. There will be no end. So Queen Vashti comes with disrespect and discord towards the king. So therefore, if it pleases the king, let him issue a royal decree, and let it be written in the laws of Persia and Media, which cannot be repealed, that Vashti is never again to enter the presence of King Xerxes. Also, let the king give her royal position to someone else. Woo! Let the king give her royal position to someone else. Let the king give her royal position to someone else, someone who is better than her, than she. This is what it says, someone who is better than her. Sound familiar? Sound familiar? The first one, we were talking about the Davids, it said that Saul, the kingdom was being stripped from him. His power and his position was being stripped from him. And it said that we're gonna find God has chosen somebody who was better than Saul. And here we are again, once again, same words as a continuation. We're talking to the men. We're gonna find somebody who was better than her. Then when the king's edict is proclaimed throughout all of his vast realm, all the women will respect their husbands from the least to the greatest. And then the king and his nobles were pleased with this advice. So the king did as they proposed, and he sent dispatches to all parts of the kingdom, to each province in its own script, and to each people in their own language, proclaiming that every man should be ruler over his own household using his native language. So now we're going to dive right into chapter 2. So it says, later when King Xerxes' fury had subsided, he remembered Vashti and what she had done, and what he had decreed about her. Then the king's personal attendants proposed, let a search be made for a beautiful young virgin for the king. Beautiful young virgins for the king. So let the king appoint commissioners in every province of his realm to bring all these beautiful young women into the harem at the citadel of Susa. Let them be placed under the care of Haggai, the king's eunuch, who is in charge of the women, and let beauty treatments be given to them. Then let the young woman who pleases the king be queen instead of Vashti. This advice appealed to the king, and he followed it. Now there was in the citadel of Susa a Jew of the tribe of Benjamin named Mordecai, son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, who had been carried into exile from Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. Among those taken captive with Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, Mordecai had a cousin named Hadassah, whom he had brought up because she had neither father nor mother. This young woman, who was also known as Esther, had a lovely figure and was beautiful. Mordecai had taken her as his own daughter when her father and mother died. So when the king's order and edict had been proclaimed, many young women were brought up to the citadels of Susa and put under the care of Haggai. Esther also was taken to the king's palace and entrusted to Haggai, who had charge of the harem. She pleased him and won his favor. Immediately, look at this. Immediately, he provided her with beauty treatments and special food. He assigned to her 7 female attendants selected for the king's palace and moved her and her attendants into the best place in the harem. Esther had not revealed her nationality and her family background because Mordecai had forbidden her to do so. So every day he walked back and forth near the courtroom of the harem to find out how Esther was and what was happening to her. So before a young woman's turn to go to the king Xerxes, she had to complete 12 months of beauty treatments prescribed for the women, 6 months with oil of myrrh and 6 months of perfumes and cosmetics. And this is how she would go to the king. Anything she wanted was given to her to take with her from the harem to the king's palace. In the evening she would go there, and in the morning return to another part of the harem to the care of Shashgaz, the king's eunuch, who was in charge of the concubines. She would not return to the king unless he was pleased with her and summoned her by name. So when the turn came for Esther, the young woman Mordecai had adopted, the daughter of his uncle Abihad, to go to the king. She asked for nothing other than what Haggai, the king's eunuch, who was in charge of the harem, suggested, and Esther won favor of everyone who saw her. Won favor. She was taken to King Xerxes in the royal residence in the 10th month, the month of Tabith, in the 7th year of his reign. Now the king was attracted to Esther more than any of the other women, and she won favor and approval more than any of the other virgins. And so he set a royal crown on her head and made her Queen Vashti, queen instead of Vashti. And the king gave a great banquet, Esther's banquet, for all his nobles and his officials, and he proclaimed a holiday throughout the provinces and distributed gifts with royal liberality. So let's go. So this is what we are looking at right now. This is what the Lord is looking at. The Esthers. The preparation stages. This is what to look for. She is prepared. The Esther you are waiting for, the Esther that you are looking for, she is prepared. She is saturated. She is holy in body and in spirit. She is fragranced and perfumed with the aroma that is pleasing to the king. Understand this. We're going to go deep. Don't look at this from the surface point of view. Look at it from God's point of view. This is what God has for you men. Your chosen queen is not going to be the queen that you are looking at, the queen that is so beautiful, the one that is the queen of TikTok, the one that is the queen of Instagram, the one that is disobedient to you, the one the one that is disrespectful, the one that brings discord. That is the queen that God does not have for you. The one that God has for you is she is humble. She is humble. She is not selfish. The Queen Vashti, she is a selfish person, just like Saul, selfish. This is how to know the characteristics of Queen Vashti. She is selfish. She didn't care about what the king wanted. All she cared about was how she wanted, what she felt, what she wanted to do in that time period. This is her mindset. This is the mentality of the Queen Vashtis. But the queen that God has anointed specifically for you, she is prepared. She is holy. She is saturated in the Lord's presence. She has the perfume of the Lord's presence around her. She spends time with the Lord. It says that she had to go through preparation stages for a whole year. 6 months of perfume, 6 months of myrrh. 6 months of oil saturated. So she's anointed. This is a woman of God that is anointed. She knows how to go in prayer. This woman is so deep. It's more than just beauty on the outside. It said that she also, Queen Esther, she also had a lovely figure. She also had a lovely figure. The one that God has for you, she's going to be beautiful, yes. But it's more to her than just the outward appearance. More to her. She is favored with God and everyone who sees her. And it says that she was the most beautiful all across the board. You put any other woman in front of her, she could be more beautiful. Why is she more beautiful? What makes Esther stick out more than all these other beautiful women? What makes her more highly attracted by the king? Why? Because God sees the inside. He sees the heart. It said that all the other women, they came with an agenda. They were beautiful, but they came with an agenda. They were asking, it said that they had the privilege, they had the option of getting whatever they wanted, and they were like, okay, I want this, I want this, I want this. They were thinking about themselves. Her, it said that she wanted nothing. This is how you can know the differences. They're the other women that are in line. You may have a whole fleet full of women. You may got it like that, where you just have like options, where God is saying, okay, I'm going to weed it out, and you're not going to pick this one, you're not going to pick this one. I'm going to let you know which one is which, and you're gonna see her, and it's not gonna be just an outward appearance. It is going to be favor on her. It's going to be an anointing. She's going to be highlighted to the king, highlighted to you. Out of all of them, you can line them up if you want to. You can line up the pageant queens. You can line them all up. You can line them all up. All the ones that have the beautiful curves, the hips, the lips, the fake, all that stuff, fake eyelashes, fake eyes, fake what you call those things, fake pupils, even fake eyebrows. You take all that stuff off. What you got? What do you got? You got fake wigs. What do you got? That's who you got lined up right now. This is what I'm talking to the men. This is who you got lined up right now. You got them all lined up. Yeah, you got this body. You got this one. Yeah, you got this one. Monday, Sunday to Sunday, you got different ones. You got them all lined up. You got this one chasing after you, that one chasing after you. They may all look good. They may be in the church, but God is saying, I have only one Esther for you. One Esther for you. She is anointed just for the king. She's not anointed for everybody. Get this, she's not one of those girls that she's a virgin. She keeps herself holy. She doesn't go around sleeping with this guy. She don't have a body count of 30, 40 people. God, she don't have a whole story of this boyfriend. Oh, in 2017, 2020, I was with this guy. She don't have all that. She is holy. She is saturated. She keeps herself pure. She keeps herself holy, anointed just for her king. She is not anointed for anybody else. She don't just go around spreading her oil everywhere. She don't go around trying to test who's the king for her. She waits for her king. She is set apart for only one king. And she is appointed just for him. Imagine that. She is appointed just for you. You're going to look at your Esther and you're going to be like, how on earth how did I get this? How did I get this? You're going to be blessed by having her in your life. He says, the Lord said, you will know you are the chosen one when you are not looking for the position. When you were not looking for the position. He said, it was given to the chosen one because they weren't chosen by man, but they were chosen by God. This is one of the reasons, this is one of the attributes of how to know if this is your Esther. She ain't gonna be chasing after you. She ain't gonna be looking for you. She's gonna be there and she's gonna be at the right place at the right time. She's gonna be chosen, handpicked by God himself. She didn't pick the position. She didn't pick you. She didn't want you. She didn't even want this position. It's not that she's ungrateful. It's just that she is not, look, that's not where her heart is. Her heart is not searching for a man. Her heart is searching for God, keeping herself pure, keeping herself saturated, and just letting God use her, letting God put her into position. This is what God has. God is raising up. The Lord said, I'm raising up the chosen, anointed ones in this hour. He said, I'm raising up the Davids and I'm raising up the Esthers. He said, the Davids are the ones that are holy. They are pure. They are set apart even from a young age. He said, the Esthers are the ones who are going to kick out all that is evil. He said they are complete. They have done enough. They've had enough with this corruption in the world. They see the corruption in the world and they are not afraid to call it out. This is the Esther. She's not afraid to call out what she sees. She's not afraid to say, hey, you got some lust in your eyes. Hey, you are dealing with some rebellion. You need to get right with the Lord. She's gonna tell you what is there. She's gonna highlight to you what is there. She's gonna be the one. She's so anointed that she is going to be brought before the king, and she's going to show him things that he didn't even see, because he was writing. I'm not going to read the whole story, but I'm just going to sum it up. It said that he had Vashti in his corner, which was a disobedient queen. She brought discord, and then he also had Haman. Haman was also in his corner. In the same timing that Vashti was there, Vashti did not see it. She didn't care about it. She didn't care about the king. She didn't care about the kingdom. She didn't care about what is going on in the household, what is going on in the kingdom. She didn't care. She didn't see it. She didn't acknowledge it. She didn't call it out. Nothing. She don't care about the things. She don't care about the things of God. But Queen Esther, this is what we're going to get into. She has divine insight. We're going to get into this. Let's go there. Woo! Let's get into this. We're going to read chapter 4. It says, when Mordecai learned of all that he had done, he's talking about Haman. He tore his clothes and put on sackcloth and ashes and went out into the city, wailing loudly and bitterly. But he went only as far as the king's gate. But because no one clothed in sackcloth was allowed to enter in. And every province to which the edict and order of the king came, there was a great mourning among the Jews with fasting, weeping, and wailing. Many lay in sackcloth and ashes. When Esther's eunuch and female attendants came and told her, Mordecai, she was in great distress, and she sent clothes for him to put on instead of the sackcloth, but he would not accept them. So then Esther summoned Hathach, one of the king's eunuchs assigned to her, attend to her, and ordered her to find out what was troubling Mordecai and why. So Hathach went out to Mordecai, and in the open square of the city in front of the king's gate, Mordecai told him everything that had happened to him, including the exact amount of money Haman had promised to pay into the royal treasury for the destruction of the Jews. He also gave him a copy of the text of the edict for their annihilation. Look at this is the problem. This is what is going on in the kingdom. This is the problem that is going on in the kingdom. You got Haman in position, sending out annihilation threats, sending out death threats to all of Esther's people. Woo! He said, I got the edict of the annihilation, which had been published. It was published. He made it known that he was going to kill him, to show to Esther and explain it to her. And he told him to instruct her to go into the king's presence to beg for mercy and plead with him for her people. And Hathach went back and reported to Esther what Mordecai had said. And she instructed him to say to Mordecai, all the king's officials and the people of the royal provinces know that for any man or woman who approaches the king in the inner court without being summoned, the king has but one law, that they be put to death unless the king extends the golden scepter father to them and spares their lives. But 30 days have passed since I was called to the king, to go to the king. So when Esther's words were reported to Mordecai, he sent back this word, this answer: do not think that because you are in the king's house, you alone of all Jews will escape. So if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place, but you and your father's family will perish. And who knows that you have been come to your royal position for such a time as this? So it says, then Esther sent this reply to Mordecai: go gather together all the Jews who are in Susa and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. And he said, I am and my attendants will fast as you do. And when this is done, I will go to the king, even though it is against the law. If I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went away and carried out all of Esther's instructions. So Esther, she has insight. She has heavenly insight. She has heavenly insight. And she does not act. She doesn't go straight to the king. She doesn't act upon her flesh. She don't operate in her carnal mind. She operates in the spirit. She said, okay, don't worry. This is what we're going to do. She said, this is the Esther. She's bold. Esther is bold. She's like, okay, I don't care if I die. I'm going to put myself on the line. I'm going to go to the king, but I'm going to go into the spirit first. I'm going to go. I'm going to empty out myself. I'm going to pray. I'm going to go to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And she's saying, I am going to go before the Lord. I'm going to saturate myself. I'm going to come down on my knees. I'm going to humble myself. I'm going to pray. I'm going to go before who is king, who is greater than anybody else. The Lord is saying, I am going to the Lord. I am going before the Lord that is on the earth. But before I go before him, I'm going to go before my king. I'm going to go before the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. I'm going to go before God. And he's saying, I'm going to saturate myself. I'm going to empty out myself. I'm going to fast. And not only am I going to fast, but I am going to have God enter in, and he's going to come with a boldness, and he's going to give me the proper words to say. He's going to give me the proper words to say. He's going to give me everything of what I need. And I am going to have God give me the proper instructions of what to do in the spirit on how to deal with it. So the queen Esther, she doesn't deal with things in the carnal minded. She deals with things in the spirit. She is not afraid to call out. And she is anointed. Not only is she is anointed to remove them out of the way. She has a righteousness and she has a correction. She brings the righteousness of God, and she also brings the correction of the Lord. So the Vashtis, let's look at this. It says that Vashtis, this is the characteristics and this is the beauty. So it says that Vashti is beautiful, yes. She's worthy to be looked at, worthy to be adorned, yeah. She may look good on the outside, but look at her inside. Look at what is on the inside. It says she is disobedient to the king. She's stubborn. She's selfish. She doesn't listen to the king. She does not listen. She has a selfish ambition. She doesn't care about the king or the kingdom, and she is carnal minded. Carnal minded. Now we're gonna look at Esther. Let's look at Esther, okay? We're gonna look at Esther. So we're gonna fast forward. We're not gonna read the whole thing. But this is what the Lord is saying for the queens. We're gonna go to chapter. We're gonna skip chapter 5 and chapter 7. We're gonna go to chapter 7. We're gonna skip 5 and 6, and we're gonna go to chapter 7. So it says the king and Haman went to Queen Esther's banquet. As they were drinking wine on the second day, the king again asked Queen Esther, "What is your petition? It will be given to you. What is your request? Even up to half of the kingdom, it will be granted." And then Queen Esther answered. She said, "If I have found favor with you, your majesty, and if it pleases you, grant me my life. This is my petition. Spare my people. This is my request. For I and my people have been sold to be destroyed, to be killed, and to be annihilated. If we had merely been sold as male and female slaves, I would have kept quiet. But because no such distress would justify disturbing the king. But King Xerxes asked Queen Esther, who is he? Where is he? The man who has dared to do such a thing. And Esther said, an adversary, an enemy. And then she pointed to him, the man who was sitting right next to the king. She pointed, she said, this vile, oh man, she got in his face. She said, this vile Haman. Then Haman was terrified before the king and queen. And the king got up in a rage, left his wine, and went into the palace garden. But Haman, realizing that the king had already decided his fate, he stayed behind to beg Queen Esther for his life. Just as the king returned from the palace garden to the banquet hall, Haman was falling on the couch where Esther was reclining. And the king exclaimed, will he even molest the queen while she is with me in the house? As soon as the word left the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. Then Harbona, one of the eunuchs attending the king, and said, a pole reaching to a height of 50 cubits stands by Haman's house, and he has set it up for Mordecai, who spoke up to help the king. And the king said, impale him on it. So they impaled Haman on the pole, and he had set up for Mordecai. They impaled Haman on the pole that he had set up for Mordecai. And then the king's fury subsided. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there, man. This word is so juicy. Oh my God. So this is what to look for in the Esther. Okay, she is not only beautiful on the outside, she doesn't not just have the hips, the lips, she don't have all that stuff. She has it, but she is not. There's more to her than just the beauty. There's more to her than just the outward appearance. We're gonna look deeper at who Esther is, what she is, what to look for. You men, what to look for in a woman. Don't settle for the Vashti. Don't settle for just beauty. Look at what the characteristics. What is she portraying? What is coming out of her mouth? What is coming out of her characteristics? What is coming out of her body language? What is she going to be bringing? Before you get married, before you start putting a woman in your house and saying, this is my queen, before you start putting a crown on her head, God is saying, I want you to look at the characteristics. Look at her character, how her attitude is, how ugly she is, look at what she is on the inside. And God is saying, this is the characteristics of Esther. She is saturated. We talked about this. She has the perfume. She is prepped for the king. She pleases the king, and everyone has favor. She has highly favored. She intercedes. She receives heavenly insight. She is not just a woman. She is not just a beauty queen. She is a woman who receives insight, heavenly insight. She gets downloads from the kingdom of heaven. She intercedes. She don't just pray for herself. She prays for God's people. She prays for the kingdom. She prays for her family. She gets down and she fasts. She don't just talk about it. She's about that life. She is a woman who comes and she boldly comes before the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Before she will come to you, before she will come to you with any problem, before she will come to you and say, okay, then we got a problem. She starts thinking about ways on how to do it in her carnal mind. She empties herself out. She is humble and she says, Lord, fill me up with what you want me to say to the king. Fill me up with what you want me to highlight before the king. She is anointed to highlight things that the king doesn't even see. He will be so oblivious. He'll be sitting right next to the Haman, sitting right next to the person that is going to annihilate his wife, and he's so oblivious to it. But she is anointed to highlight what is there. She is highlighted. She is anointed to highlight to the king the things that he cannot see, things that he is oblivious to, things that he's walking around with, that he's sitting next in line, and she comes to bring a shine a light. She is a light. She comes to shine light into the kingdom, into the marriage, into what God has for you in your marriage, for the household. She comes to bring and add to it, not to take away from it, but to add to the kingdom. And she has a heart for her people, for her family. She has a heart for the king. She loves and she adorns everybody. She does not have a selfish mindset, carnal mindset, on. She doesn't move in the physical. She moves in the spirit. She moves in heaven and on earth. She moves and she approaches the king with humility. She's gonna, the Esther that you are looking for, that God has for you, is the one that she comes before you with humility, with respect, with reverence and honor, and she has wisdom. She has heavenly wisdom, not demonic wisdom. She has heavenly wisdom, and she deals with the issues in the spirit before dealing with it in the physical. She don't just start throwing punches. She don't just start trying to get everybody out of the way, using her physical mindset, using her physical attributes, using anything. She comes before the Lord and says, Lord, give me heavenly insight. Just show me what you want me to do in this situation. She gets before the throne room of God and anointed, and she is anointed to remove all evil, and she is anointed to expose it, and she is also anointed to kick it out with it. She has anointed, she has deliverance power. Oh, come on. She has deliverance power in her voice. She has deliverance power. She comes and she highlights it, she exposes it, and she says, this is what needs to be done, this is what is done, and we're gonna get this out today. We're not gonna waste any time, we're not gonna delay, we're gonna kick out the Hamans, and we are going to highlight it before the king, and we're not gonna get mad at the king, we're just gonna highlight it to him. We're just gonna come to him boldly and with repentance and with forgiveness, and we're gonna come humbly. And this is how she thinks. This is how the Esther thinks. Woo, she makes decisions with humility. She makes decisions with humility. This is what you got to look for. This is the Esthers. Woo! This is the Esthers. So men, I'm giving you this one last thing. If you are in a relationship right now and you are seeing the characteristics of Vashti, God is saying, okay, time to get rid of this. It's time to get rid of this. Don't put a ring on it. Don't go forward with it. It's time to get rid of it. Cut it off. God is saying, I have somebody who is better than her. Somebody who is better than her. Somebody who is better than this woman. Somebody who is better. God is saying, I have an Esther for you, and she is not going to hurt you. She's not going to destroy the kingdom. She's not going to have any demonic agenda. She's not going to be selfish. She's not going to have come at you like sideways. She's not going to talk to you like this is F this, and all the alphabets in the book. She's not going to be that woman. She's going to be the woman who approaches you with the respect that you are as the king that was ordained for her, and you are anointed to be her king, and she is anointed to be your queen, and that is who you got to wait for. Wait for your Esther. Wait for your Esther. Don't settle for the line. Don't settle for who you got in the line. Don't settle for everybody who was in his line, everybody who was in the city. He says, don't settle for who you got just because they're around you, just because they're in church, just because they're in your area code. You know them since you were in the 3rd grade. You know them since you were like 2. He said, I want you to don't look at any of these things. Don't look at the line. He said, I want you to wait for your Esther. Wait for your Esther. This is a word for the men. I'm closing this off. Stay tuned for part 3. I'm going to continue. This ball is going to continue to roll, where I'm doing, once again, a series of a marriage that God ordained. So this is part 2. Stay with me for part 3. So I'm doing series. So let's go. Bless you guys.